When injuries arise, opportunities arise. And there's a player on this team who sees in every single opportunity that he's getting. And not only is he going to seize a roster spot, he might actually be a potent part of this offense. Markel Bell, future right tackle, getting big endorsements. And is it worth looking in the tight end market to see if there's anything available? I don't know. Howie might have to work some magic. And then last but not least, this nonsense from USA Today. We'll get into it. It's Talking Sporty. It's your boy Zaho Facts. Let's get it.
Stop the motherfucking pack. Yo.
Shall I begin? Pussy niggas get served. Another bridge to burn. Either live or you learn. Digits get earned. Off the head top, it ain't perm. Never been the type to curl like Big Worm. Catch your fade over your shoulder. Try to test my release. You get deceased. Smoke like the kush overseas from Middle East. No beast. I ain't touched that shit since 12 or 13. Ducking 12 from lurking while we skelling murk things. Kinda clock my life and still laughing most of the timeline. Try to come between me and Fetty, a fine line.
Eagles training camp has been as competitive as I could honestly ask for. Like, there's been a lot of competition battles. People are embracing it. There's been some chatter going back and forth between, the offense and the defense. Dudes is not taking reps off, and it's all about putting in that extra work and that extra effort and fighting with a chip on your shoulder. And the biggest example of that in Eagles training camp, in my opinion, and I think the consensus at this point, is Darius Cooper. Now, we know that Darius Cooper Jr. last year, showed little signs in training camp and in preseason that he could be a player worth keeping and investing in. And I think this year he's doubling down on that. Obviously, we've had Devontae Smith, Mekhi Lemon miss time with, quad and hamstring issues. And we need receivers to step up big time. And, obviously we got the Hollywood Browns and Elijah Moores of the world who have, more of a reputation in the NFL, because of, where they might have been drafted and their time spent in the league, But I think Darius Cooper has been outplayed pretty much every receiver, that's been out there. We haven't seen Mekhi Lemon consistently. Dontavian Wicks has been playing really, really well, but I think Darius Cooper these last two practices has really shown that he can really step up if need be. And not only that, I think he might actually get plays called for him in this offense. Jalen seems to be comfortable throwing him the ball. And his underdog story is just such a Philly story. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a feel-good story. And if we can get him on the field and get him going, I think Darius Cooper has a future as a wide receiver in the NFL for sure, for sure. And we have a clip here from Dave Zangaro and Ruben Frank talking about how he's been at camp. So I'm going to let y'all check this out and we'll get back to it.
He makes the routine catches. When he's wide open, he catches the ball. He makes contested catches. He had a few of those today. He made a back shoulder catch today. I don't know what the ceiling is for him, but he's a legit NFL receiver.
Yeah, there's no way you can watch these practices and not feel that way. I mean, and I'm at the point where I don't think he's just going to make the team. I think he has a chance to play for this team. Darius Cooper just looks like a guy that is ready to make that jump and be an NFL player and contribute, catch some balls.
That's big praise from guys who have been around the Eagles facilities for years. You know what I mean? And he for a guy that came in undrafted, didn't have much opportunity, he's making the most of it, and he isn't just here to make the team. You know what I mean? His demeanor is very, I'm just going to eat, I'm going to do what I'm asked of. But I know his goal is to get on the field, and his goal is to get touches and to be a vital part of this offense. And when you got guys gunning, that on paper you could say he's our fourth or fifth receiver. He could work his way up the ranks, especially if players don't come back from injury or, if things are lagging into the season. We're going to need receivers. We're going to need depth. And I go back to say on my last video, I did mention Brian Thomas Jr. and Marvin Harrison Jr. Still think those are vital options if they are available to upgrade at the position if need be. But I do think that it's a little easier for Darius Cooper to um or I'm sorry, not Darius Cooper. It's a little easier if Howie Roseman knows that the depth is stepping up in camp, then he doesn't have to really prioritize the position as much. But a position that I do think we may need to prioritize is tight end. Now, I'm on the fence of saying that Eli Stowers should be on the field, should get his reps, should learn from trial and error. But at the same time, injuries happen, things happen, and I don't think we have any deep depth besides, I mean, we have Grant Calcaterra, but I think we could, even with our depth at tight end, we can upgrade. You know what I mean? I think we can find a third string tight end that's better than Grant Calcaterra. Um, Johnny Munt is going to be the tight end too because he can block, but there's going to be times where we might want to stretch the field and we might want to put Stowers out there, but we also can't be predictable where it's like, okay, if Stowers is out there only on passing downs, teams will key in on that shit and then we'll be fucked. So I think we should upgrade, maybe go get another blocking tight end, maybe another hybrid guy that can kind of do a little bit of both. And then we cut Calcaterra, you know what I mean? Just hasn't really panned out. I mean, he was a 6th round pick. Hasn't really panned out more than what it is. I think he had some flashes his first couple of years in the league, but at this point we got to move on, you know what I mean? So I do think upgrading the depth at the tight end position is big time. But Stowers is the guy. He's going to be the guy next year, and we are going to move forward. We invested a 2nd round pick in Eli Stowers, so he will be the guy going forward. Now, another guy I wanted to talk about is the right tackle we took out of Miami in the 3rd round, Markel Bell. Lane Johnson at his presser the other day mentioned that he is very impressed with what he's seen out of Markel Bell, and Bell actually is one of the best rookies that he's ever been around in terms of his demeanor, not complaining, things of that nature. And I'll let you guys hear the clip of what Lane had to say about that.
To the guy, Markel Bell and everything, he's got a lot of time at right tackle. I mean, do you see him as a guy who can take over for
Yeah,
you?
man, he's one of the best rookies I've been around. Just far as being in the playbook, no complaining. Haven't heard him complain one time, and just he's always asking questions. So just a really mature young man, handles stuff off the field well. He's just always asking questions, and you can tell he was coached up well at Miami. And yeah, man, I see a guy with that size and that ability and that wingspan and movement. He can have a lot of success in this business.
Very high praise from a Hall of Famer, and having a year to learn under his belt and get him prepared for what's next. I do think Markel Bell is going to be the starting right tackle on this team next year and going forward. And it's up to him whether he wants to keep that spot or not. But I do think that right now we're nurturing him to be in that spot. So, dude's a freak of nature. He's 6'9", very athletic, moves well with his feet for his size. Sky's the limit for him if he can develop well. I just wish that, I hope, and this is my greatest hope, that Lane can introduce Markel to Stoutland. And maybe Stout can get some work on the side with someone like Markel Bell just for the development of everything. Because if Stout was to get his hands on somebody like that, man, oh my goodness. I've heard good praise about our offensive line coach now, but there's nobody like Jeff Stoutland in my opinion. So I'm hoping that can happen, but who knows? But I am excited about Markel Bell, and I think he is probably, out of all of our picks so far from this draft class, he's probably the one that's panning out the most, truth be told. Now, another thing that I did want to add in, and I had to get a little somber for this one, that Lane Johnson mentioned in this presser. As you guys know, he had missed 2 previous practices in a row. I think he was dealing with something personal, and he made a huge announcement during that presser. And I'm just gonna let it rock, and we'll get back to it.
Yeah, it's I mean, as you get older, uh, things change in your life, priorities. Your children get older, parents get older, and so just puts things into perspective. So, uh, man, looking like this is probably potentially going to be probably my last year, just because I am getting to that point of those priorities, away from football are starting to merge. Not that I don't enjoy. I love everything about this game and preparing for it, but that's kind of where I'm at in my career. So, yeah, man, just looking forward to this year, playing the best I can, and stay healthy, and that's about it.
When you were
So that hurts my heart, man. You know what I mean? Like, I was hoping he'd play another 2 years, truth be told, but you know what? 14 seasons. I mean, 7, 8 All Pros, 2 Super Bowl rings. You're cemented already. You're the GOAT right tackle, in my opinion, especially as a Philadelphia Eagle, man. Like, there ain't no debating it. Lane Johnson is that dude. But when it's time, it's time. Father time in the NFL is, for players at his position is around where he's at now. Some players kind of go the distance and try to stretch it out as long as they possibly could because they love the game. But it comes a time where, you have to consider your family. You have to consider different things. You have to consider different avenues. And you also want to walk away while you can walk. You know what I mean? Like, I think that Liz Frank injury really put Lane in perspective because of how painful that injury is and how hard it is to come back from it, especially at somebody his age. I think for him, he kind of realized, like, that's the first sign, and maybe I should take that sign and call it. So, shout out to Lane Johnson, man. You will forever be goated in Philly, and let's go into this last year and let's get you a third one. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it. Fuck it. You know what I mean? Kelsey, we tried to get him one, we couldn't. Brandon Graham, technically we got him one, and then he did, he tried to come back, and I'm hoping Brandon Graham can come back. I haven't heard anything about, him signing. He said he wanted to get a training camp in. I don't know what's going on with that, but hopefully we can get Brandon Graham in here, and Graham in here, sorry, and he can be a rotational player. But shout out to Lane, man. Shout out to Lane. And last but not least, the bullshit. I had to talk about it, fellas. I had to talk about it. Oh, man. All right. So listen. I'm gonna be objective because at the end of the day, if you look at this list here, right, the Rams, I think obviously you're going to go with the notion that Aaron Donald is eventually going to sign with them. Okay, cool. Cool. The Seahawks, okay, repeat, not repeat, I'm sorry. Super Bowl champs looking to repeat. Okay. The Broncos were in the AFC Championship last year. Okay. Buffalo, you got high hopes for Buffalo. Okay. This is where I start having the problem with the list right here. The Bears. Okay. Are we going by Ben Johnson? Or are we going by the ascension of Caleb Williams? Because other than that, they haven't really totally like transformed this team to a god tier level where it's like, oh my God. We still don't know who their A tier wide receiver one is yet. Nobody has really, like, Roma Doomsday isn't that guy to me yet. Luther Bertrand is okay. You know, Colston Loveland had a pretty good rookie year. Okay. Is there any like really A tier dominant players on that team where it's like, okay, they can take over a game truthfully? Or did they win a lot of one score games off of miraculous throws from Caleb Williams? The Bears at 5 is wild. The Texans, to me, their defense is great. They're still unproven on offense. They shouldn't be 6 at all. At all. This is crazy. The Niners, okay. If you're gonna bank on coaching and you're gonna bank on experience, I'm not mad at that. The Bengals, their defense, they got a lot of new pieces, but they're still very unproven. The Cowboys, okay. We do this every year. I'm not too worried about it. And then The Lions, all right. This is what I'm talking about. The Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, Amon Ra, all that glaze about the offense, and then they forget that there's only one guy on their defense that's truly dominant. Everybody else is mid or a little bit above mid. Nah, I ain't gonna say that. Shout out Kirby Joseph, but that's about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't like the fucking Lions are world beaters on defense. Like, if you look at our roster collectively, yes, we did lose some pieces, but people forget the pieces that we got to replace these pieces. And yes, the offense is somewhat of a question mark. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit here and be like, yo, we should be number one, in terms of best teams. You know what I mean? But I do think that come week 6, come week 7, come week 8, this is going to be irrelevant. And in my opinion, I'm gonna give y'all real quick before I go. I'm gonna give y'all my top 10 teams in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? And I get, if I'm going by projections, and this is off the top, I'm not listing them in any particular order. I'm just gonna go off the top. So obviously the Eagles are gonna be somewhere in the top 10. I'd also put the Rams, Seahawks, Broncos in the top 10 as well. If we're going by projections, I mean, I do think that the Ravens should be in the top 10 somewhere. Kansas City should also be in the top 10 somewhere. So that's 6 teams right there. Um, I'm a little iffy on New England. I'm gonna go Buffalo if we're going out of that division. Um, we can go if we're going NFC South. I think Tampa could be a top 10 team somewhere in the lower 5 to 10 range. I do think that Chicago. So here's the thing. I'm gonna go with Green Bay. I think Green Bay has. I think I'm very confident in what Green Bay can probably do this season. Um, in that division. So I'm gonna take them as the ninth best team in the NFL. And then if we're gonna go with a 10th team, I will go 49ers. And I think it's a push between the 49ers and the there's a team that I'm not thinking of right now. Probably the either the Bang. It's hard to tell. Either the Bengals or the Texans, in my opinion, for that 10th spot, just because of how good their defense is versus how good the Bengals offense is. But yeah, I would say it's a 3-way between the Niners, Bengals, and Texans, and then I think the Eagles are somewhere in that 4 to 5 range in terms of where we're going to end up, and just based on our schedule and based on what I think we can do. So, um, me personally, I just think it's the cool thing to do to just shit on the Eagles, not include them on lists. But I do find it funny that a lot of people all of a sudden is like, yo, yeah, the Eagles aren't that good. But like 2 weeks ago, we had a super team and Jalen Hurts gets carried. So I really don't know. It's like whatever mood that Twitter's in that day is the opinion they're just gonna go with. They be flip floppy as hell. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, bro, you know, we're gonna hold dudes accountable on this channel. We're gonna hold dudes accountable on X. We're gonna hold dudes accountable all over the place. You know what I'm saying? In terms of the shit that they say and the bullshit that they spew. You know what I mean? Like, we gotta keep it official. We gotta keep it 100 in this, in this sphere. Um, but I do want to say before I head out, the view count has been going up. The subscriber count has gone up. Um, you know what I mean? I'm starting to average about 30 to 60 views a video, which sometimes it kind of fluctuates, but it's a good step in the right direction, man. And I'd like to shout out my subscribers too. You know what I mean? Like, I got about 20 to 30 of y'all in here right now that started following me, and I appreciate each and every one of y'all, man. Because at the end of the day, I'm trying to do something unique. I'm trying to do something that's cool to me. And I like talking about the game. I like talking about football, bro. I just love this shit, and I love the Eagles. So if you rocking with me, uh, keep on some, liking the videos, man. Keep on sharing them with your your other fellow Eagle fans or fellow sports fans, and let's build this community together, man. Because I'm nothing without y'all, straight up. Um, But it's your boy Zaho Facts. I'm gonna let y'all go, man. It's talking sporty. Until next time.